Hello friends, hope all of you are doing well. In today's session, we're going to continue our journey on MEG 5, that is a literary criticism and theory paper. And for those of you not watching my videos as of now, let me tell you that we are now started with block 6, that is your feminist theories. And in today's session, we are going to discuss one of the most important questions which comes in, you can say that it comes very frequently in your term and examination. So today's session is going to be very important, so do watch the video till the end. And yes, a humble request to all my viewers that do kindly like the video, guys, so that we can reach a wider audience, because as we have seen that even though we make good content, we don't reach a wider audience. So if you just happen to like the video, then please hit the like button so that we can reach a wider audience. And also a small request that you can find the notes and analysis of this particular session pinned in the description, and also to check out the videos narrated in my voice, which is also given in the description. Now without any further ado, let's get started. Now, today's lecture is dedicated on one of the work of Virginia Woolf, one of the most legendary and most popular feminist of all times. Now in her essay, that is a room of one's own, she has raised voices against the atrocities and injustice faced by the women of her era. Okay, now she remains an influence to the feminist as of now, based on her morals and her beautiful messages through her work. Now, A Room of One's Own is an extended essay by Virginia Woolf, first published in September 1929. The work is based on two lectures Woolf delivered in October 1928 at Newnham College and Girton College. Both are women's colleges at the University of Cambridge. In her essay, Woolf uses metaphors to explain social injustices and comments on women's lack of free expression. Her metaphor of a fish explains the most essential point. Now, basically, the essay that she has written, A Room of One's Own, was based on her lectures. Alright, two lectures she provided in the year 1928 in two colleges that you have to remember, that is Newnham College and Girton College. Both are women's colleges at the University of Cambridge. Now, a particular line which you need to remember, which expresses the gist or the soul of her work, is that a woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. Now there is a very deep meaning in this line. Clearly it implies that in order to write fiction, you can't have any financial liabilities. And if you happen to be a woman at that particular era having financial liabilities and also not a place to write, it is not very suggestible according to her. Now let us see what are the themes of this particular essay. The four of them are the four marriages, women's access to education, building a history of women's writing, and lesbianism. Yes, you heard it right, guys. One of the key point of her work was also based on lesbianism. Now let us move on and discuss the summary of A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. In exam, most of the times in your term and examinations, the question regarding this particular work of Virginia Woolf can be asked from different perspective, but overall I am giving you a gist from different point of view so that you can answer it from a conceptualized point of view as well. Fine. So let us first of all discuss what is the gist of this particular work by Virginia Woolf. So A Room of One's Own is a seminal feminist essay by Virginia Woolf, which you already know, and it was first published in the year 1929. The essay explores the concept of women's writing and the historical obstacles that prevented women from achieving literary success equal to that of men. Now, we all will agree that that particular period, women were not considered as far as their counterpart, that is the men. Now they were deprived of a lot of things, and they were stereotyped basically, okay, that a woman should stay at home, they should take care of children, they should do their dutiful needs as a wife. So these few things were expected of her, and if she comes out of that domain and tries to do something else, she was considered as a outcast or a rebellion. Okay, now that's the reason why women couldn't succeed in the literature as much as men. That's what was the point of Virginia Woolf. Now, Woolf argues that women have historically excluded from education, professional opportunities, and the freedom necessary to pursue creative endeavors. She proposes that for women to achieve success as writers, they need financial independence and a physical space of their own in which to work. Alright? Now, finally, we also see that Woolf uses a fictional character, Judith, to illustrate the challenges women face in the literary world. Through Judith's story, Woolf highlights the sexism and the societal expectations that have historically limited women's opportunities and perpetuated the myth that women are not capable of producing great literature. Now we'll definitely go ahead and look the story of Judith in the work of A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. But overall, we can conclude that A Room of One's Own is a powerful feminist critique of the social and economic barriers that have prevented women from achieving their full potential as writers, artists, and human beings. It remains a widely read and influential work today. Now, in order to understand the gist of her essay, we need to go through the story of Judith, and this you can mention it as well in your exams. Now, in A Room of One's Own, Virginia Woolf creates a fictional character named Judith who represents the challenges and limitations women have historically faced in the literary world. Let us see her story, which is actually very beautiful and sends a very strong message to the society which was patriarchal at that time. It is still now to a large extent, but I'll believe that through the work of pioneers like Virginia Woolf herself, a lot has been achieved. Now, Judith is a talented young woman who is passionate about writing, but she is constantly told that writing is not suitable profession for women. Her father, a wealthy landowner, is not supportive of her aspirations and instead insists that she marry and focus on her domestic duties. Despite her father's opposition, Judith perseveres and secretly writes poetry in her spare time. She shares her work with her brother who is studying at Cambridge University, and he recognizes her talent and encourages her to continue writing. One day, Judith decides to visit her brother at Cambridge, hoping to gain more exposure to the literary world and further develop her skills. However, when she arrives, she is barred from entering the university library because she is woman. She is told that women are not allowed to use the library and are not even allowed to set foot on university grounds. Feeling discouraged and frustrated, Judith returns home and gives up writing altogether. She realizes that without financial independence and access to education, it will be nearly impossible for her to pursue a literary career. Through Judith's story, Woolf illustrates the many obstacles and limitations that women have faced in the literary world. Judith's talent and passion for writing are not enough to overcome the societal and cultural barriers that prevent women from achieving their full potential. Woolf suggests that a woman need financial independence and the freedom to pursue their passions in order to break down these barriers and achieve success. Now, that's what the message is in this particular story of Judith, written by Virginia Woolf. Actually, Judith is an imaginary character, but this is actually faced by a lot of women who has potential, but they couldn't tap into their potential because of the patriarchal norms prevalent during that period. All right. Now, as we can see throughout the story, that she has the potential, but as she wanted to explore more, she was stopped and she was made realize that she has to stay in a particular domain which involved only the portion which was expected of her, and she was not supposed to do anything beyond that. Now, overall, if I tell you that A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf is an excellent piece of work by Virginia Woolf, and we cannot expect criticism of this particular work by anyone, but in the last part of today's lecture, we are going to discuss a particular segment which is criticism of Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. Now, you all might wonder that how is it possible? But yes, a particular person did criticize the work, not in a manner which you are thinking as of now. Let us see who that person was. So the person who criticized the work of Virginia Woolf was none other than Alice Walker. For those of you who don't know, this particular person is an American novelist, a short story writer, poet, and social activist. In 1982, she became the first African American woman to win the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, which she was awarded for her novel Color Purple. Now, according to Alice Walker, particular portion of this particular work didn't suit her, didn't match her expectations. So let's see what was that. And Alice Walker responded to Woolf's observation that only women with a room of their own are in position to write. Woolf herself was making the point that not all women in her society had such a safe space. But Walker continues the conversation by discussing the further exclusion suffered by women of color. In In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose, Walker writes, Virginia Woolf, in her book of A Room of One's Own, wrote that in order for a woman to write fiction, she must have two things: certainly a room of their own, with key and lock, and enough money to support herself. What then we are to make of Phyllis Wheatley, a slave who owned not even herself? This sickly, frail black girl who required a servant of her own at times. Her health was so precarious, and who, had she been white, would have been easily considered the intellectual superior of all women and most of the men in the society of her day. Now, this is a very legit point, because you see, the point raised by Virginia Woolf was from the perspective of white woman. Okay, she didn't consider a particular section of people who were suffering beyond imagination. That those were the black people. Clearly, she was writing at the time when there was a color difference. People were judged based on color as well. There was discrimination based on color, and that particular discrimination goes beyond our imagination. Okay, because black people were considered as slaves and different atrocities were done against them. So actually, I will say that Alice Walker has point here. She says that what she gives an example of Phyllis Wheatley, who was a slave, and her health was so bad that she even needed a servant of her own, but which she cannot have because she is a servant and a slave herself. Alright, but had she have been white, she would have been considered intellectually superior. Obviously, all white people during that period were considered intellectually superior from black men. Okay, so this is a particular criticism of A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, which you should know. So this is the video, guys. I hope you had an insight regarding a very beautiful work by Virginia Woolf, that is A Room of One's Own. I want you to first of all write down the key points in your answer. If this particular question is asked, then you write down the summary as I've discussed in the session, followed by the story of Judith, which will get you some extra credibility. And do not forget to mention the criticism of this particular work by Virginia Woolf. That will definitely create a perfect answer for your term and examination. In case if you have any other doubt regarding this particular session, do feel free to comment in the comment section, or do mention it. I'll definitely try to address it in the next session. Do not forget to check out the links given in the description, where you'll find the links of some beautiful videos which will definitely delight your mind. And also do hit the like button, guys, so that we can reach a wider audience. And do not forget to join our social handles, that is our Facebook page and our Facebook groups, to be regularly updated of IGNOU's latest notifications. Till we meet next time, God bless you and thank you all.